Okay, so today we're getting ready to pull in this 1971 Firebird, which is actually a pretty cool car and near and dear to my heart. It's actually one of the first cars I ever owned. Well, I definitely wasn't ready for the mullet machine to roll in when it did. I thought we had a couple other things going on. We were getting prepped for a couple of things, and I got this crazy redneck bringing a car and yelling at me that he wants some gear as some stupid stink bug something or another.
Hi kids, we are here today to take you through the install of the Heidts Pro G independent rear suspension. You heard that for sure, right? It's coming in.
Oh, I was just looking to get a little suspension put on, man.
What?
I was just looking to get a little suspension put on. The car was a huge inspiration to me growing out my hair for the past 20 years. You know, picked up the car new in '72. Sean was angry, you know, I came in, you know, super heavy on the throttle. I was just ready to get everything done on the car. You know, I wanted to handle. And I was eager, I was excited.
It's exciting because, you know, it's a neat looking car, obviously, you know, a real pony car, muscle car.
As the 1971 Firebird pulled in, we saw this red car and I go, okay, well that car is screaming for attention, but we're gonna add a little bit more attention to it.
So we're putting in this Heidts IRS rear end, which is just a super cool concept. It's got tons of options.
You know, I'm really thinking about getting one of those bird decals for the hood. I think it'll go great with the rest of it. And, you know, now that there's suspension under it, it should turn a lot better.
The unique thing about this Heidts Pro G IRS is that it's a complete bolt-in unit. What that means is you don't have to cut anything off the car and you don't have to weld anything back onto the car. You remove the factory suspension and everything bolts in place. You get the Ford 9-inch rear end, you get disc brakes, you get coilover shocks, and you get the uprights and the control arms, everything you need for an independent rear suspension to bolt under this car. Now this is not typical for cars of this day. These cars all had a live axle. They did not have IRS in some of these cars, so this is going to improve the handling immensely over what was in this car from the factory.
So I'm excited to get in the shop for sure and turn a wrench. The kit looks so clean, all the parts are so clean that I can't let them have all the fun playing with the parts and putting them on the car. So I'll do a little bit of that myself.
In order to put this IRS in the car, you have to remove the factory suspension entirely. That means the leaf springs come out, the live axle comes out, the brake drums come out, and the brake hoses.
Don't need those anymore.
All that comes out, it unbolts from the car to make room for the IRS to bolt in place.
There she blows. Okay, so we brought in Emil to help us out with this and to just help us out with the overall installation. It was actually really cool having Emil on board because he's not per se a mechanic. He's definitely got overall car knowledge and knows what he's working with and what he's doing. He's turned a wrench before. But to have someone that doesn't have fabrication or major mechanical experience be able to come in and really get involved with the kit and really make it seem simple and something that, you know, an at-home guy can do with really no questions asked. Really good instructions that just about anybody can follow. They really talk about your torque specs and really, you know, all the little things like using the lock washers, putting them on the right side of the bolt, using the thread locker where it's needed and stuff like that. It really helped just an easy install for generally a first timer on a project of this size.
I have a question for you guys. So we know that there's some pre-assembly required here, right?
Oh, absolutely.
How much actually can happen on the workbench versus under the car?
Honestly, as much as we can just to make our installation of the car a lot easier.
So we can have just about the whole unit here assembled, under the car, finish up with a couple last details.
Yeah, pretty much all the subframe connectors that actually need to go on the car themselves by themselves and a couple other small things just for fitment in the vehicle itself. But other than that, we'll pretty much get this thing put together on the bench.
Awesome, change of gear for you. I know you're a fabricator. Tell me about these weld marks, these welds.
Oh, these welds are actually great. They do a really good job of making and taking these up. From a fabricator standpoint, I'm real happy with the overall craftsmanship of the metalwork and just the overall kit.
I spoke with Jim Shaw, who's one of the engineers at Heidts, and I asked him a lot about this kit. And one of the things that they're very proud of is the high percentage of ownership in this kit. They didn't go out and buy somebody else's third member housing and decide to build a kit around it. They designed their own third member housing. They built it around the Ford 9-inch third member housing. So it is their kit. Everything about it is theirs. They built the control arms, they built the cross members, they designed it in-house, and they're really proud of that, and as well they should. It's a very solid kit.
No coilover action happening.
Yes, these coilers are actually pretty cool. They're adjustable at lower, but in order to actually install the coilover, you have to remove the adjuster. So you want to be real careful not to lose the little gasket that's underneath it. Well, we call it the Jesus gasket because if you lose that gasket, you're going to be praying to Jesus
that you find it.
because I don't know where to get another one unless I have to order it.
All right, Sean, I am checking in again. What is going on with the brakes?
Well, we're just assembling the rotor adapter to the actual rotor itself. So once I get this done, we'll be able to assemble it in the car with the caliper.
Awesome. We've got a 4-piston Willwood caliper going on the car. We went with the slotted and cross-drilled rotors. The cross-drilling, of course, is there to save weight, to help dissipate heat also. And the slots are there to release gases that form between the pad and the rotors.
Heidts recommends that you do some pre-assembly of some of the components before you install your IRS. What that's going to do is that's going to save some time when you're trying to install it. You can put together the rotors, you can put together the control arms, you can put together the hubs and the uprights. It just saves some time.
We decided to put it in per their instructions, and this is as far as they tell you to go for the ease of installation since we have it so high on the lift.
I'm not going to get my workout on holding the thing while you guys are bolting it in there, is what you're telling me?
Nope, not going to get to work
All
out
right.
today, bud.
All right, so we'll get it all up in there, and then the gear set goes in. How does that work?
Just like a normal factory 9-inch. You just drop the gear set in, and then we're going to put the CV axles in just like you would a normal axle.
Perfect. All right, let's get to it.
Once we finished with our pre-assembly, the first step was to attach these cradles to the subframe. From there, we can take the cross member and housing and the third member and attach it into the frame. The lower control arms, the uprights and hubs go in next, and then the last step of the job is to attach the subframe connectors and the strut rods to the IRS.
Sean, I know you're fixing to do some drilling. Tell me what's going on.
Right now, I'm putting their frame piece in position in our factory frame rails. It's actually utilizing the factory bump stop mounting holes to position the piece. Then pretty much I just need to make sure that I really get this bottomed out up against the frame rail real well before I go and drill my holes.
So eyeball measure twice, drill once, right?
Yes, sir. That's the rule of thumb.
All right, boy, have some fun. So Sean, while you're under there, I saw you were using my favorite tool, the BFH, the big hammer. Tell me about tolerances, and sometimes things don't quite line up.
Well,
What'd you find?
this being a car from 1971, everything's had some time to settle and work its way around. Plus, back in the day, when we were making cars 25 years ago, the tolerances weren't as tight as they want them nowadays.
A little shabby.
So there's little variances in chassis and stuff like that sometimes require a BFH.
Perfect. And sometimes if a car maybe was involved in an accident, something might not be perfectly lined up, right?
Sometimes there's absolutely no way to tell if it's been in a little fender bender and had the frame straightened, or a lot of times just over the years they'll get bumped in the back and they'll just shift the rear of the chassis of the car one direction.
But we've got it all sorted now, it works.
Yep, we're all good to go.
I don't get to swing my favorite tool.
Nope, don't need that anymore.
All right.
Ow. Lube master? Lube it up.
Now Heidts chose the Ford 9-inch third member for this kit for a couple of reasons. One, the nodular iron housing is very strong. And the second reason is because this is a very popular third member. If you want to change gear ratios later, you can do it. You're going to be able to find the parts. You don't have to go searching around in a wrecking yard somewhere to try and find parts to service this rear end. We use the 350 rear end in this. You can choose when you order it from a 3 to a 411 gear ratio for this.
Well, it's cool because we actually had a couple guys here that I'd never even heard or knew that the inboard brake setup was in existence. You take the brakes and move them to the inboard of the vehicle, you get rid of a lot of unsprung weight, so it allows you the adjustability of the camber and the caster, as well as better handling over bumps and around a road course and things like that. You just don't have to deal with that extra weight and your coilover doing double duty, really.
There are several convenient touches on the kit. For example, a little notch cut right in here allows me to get in there, tighten my bolt. As soon as I'm ready to move on to the next one, boom, there it is. Easy breezy.
There was a couple things with the kit, obviously. We don't have a lot of IRS kits that we install in the shop, but getting into it, me and Dean, actually my other mechanic, we decided to go through the one side first, just make sure we didn't run into any bugs or anything, which, like I said, went really straightforward. So the next side, we decided to get Emil involved in it and really let him get his hands in there and see how easy the kit really was. So we got the CV shaft setup, which is really cool because these really allow for a lot of articulation and drive shaft angle change throughout your suspension travel. So it's a really good aftermarket part for something like this, as opposed to a half shaft or something like that can limit your travel. It really married well to the upright and the outside hub where the tire would actually mount, and it was super simple to put together. You really didn't have to fight anything.
With the subframe connectors installed in the car, we can make our final adjustments with a toe-in on the IRS, and then we can start dropping the car down to the ground, set it up at ride height, and make any final adjustments that we need to make.
Okay, well first off, overall kit, absolutely awesome. I think it's sick. It looks cool from underneath the car, it looks cool from behind the car, it looks cool with the tires on it. We got this thing set down on the tires, like I said, just looked absolutely awesome. I was really happy with the overall function of the kit, the adjustability of the coilovers, their instructions on how to set, your alignment, super easy right out of the box. It was just, overall with this kit, I'm 100% happy.
I usually find myself with bolt-in kits to not be so bolt-in. Usually there are modifications you have to do, and on this kit there wasn't. It did all bolt-in. Didn't get to break out the welder like I wanted to, but beggars can't be choosers.
When this car came in, we left the center blocks and a double wide behind, and we brought the car into the shop and we installed this Pro G IRS. Now the car is ready to be sitting in a driveway in front of a nice house, and it's ready for the track. It's ready for competition.
If you're the type of guy that's going to go out there and potentially compete in an autocross event, forget the being on the track, but the autocrosses that we see more and more in the various car meets out there across the country, and you want to do well, you spent all this money on horsepower, right? Why not spend a little bit of money on putting that power down in the ground? The car's going to perform much better. And so that's who really this is geared for, the guy that wants to autocross the car and be able to put down the power.
Okay, we've got this Heidts Pro G IRS kit. We're putting on this 71 Firebird. We've got some of the best professional mechanics working on it that you've ever seen. Most of the time. Anyway, are you done?